Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Never Talk to a Stranger with the Language of Sales, with your MAPS coaches, Ron Wexler and Kara Moll. Please note this webinar is being recorded, and you will automatically receive the webinar recording. If you have questions for your coach, please type them into the questions box located in your webinar taskbar. Following the webinar, if you have any questions about today's call or coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com. That's fasttrack@kw.com. That's all for me. Ron and Kara, take it away.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Holly. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. The fact that you're here speaks volumes about two things. The first, your understanding that sales is the art of communication, and that when you increase your ability to effectively communicate, your sales will naturally increase. And your presence illustrates the commitment you have to yourself, your clients, and all those people in your world. You're realizing with each passing day that you have the ability to dramatically impact those in your presence and leave them with more power just because of your relationship. Our intention on being with you during this time together today is to create an experience that causes you to commit at the highest level to mastering language, allowing you to impact lives, close more transactions, and just communicate better. My name is Kara Moll, and in addition to being a top real estate agent in Chicago, I'm a market center investor, a MAPS agent, and transformational coach, and I have the honor of being co-facilitator of MAPS Language of Sales and Diana Kokoska's program with my longtime colleague and especially my friend, Ron Wexler.
Woohoo! So, Kara, check your connection again as we jump in.
All right.
So, all right. So I just want to introduce myself. My name is Ron Wexler, and I am the co-facilitator of the MAPS Language of Sales program that Diana created for all of us. I'm also an OP and a mega agent in our KW world here in Chicago. And I have a team that closed over 50 million the last 2 years in a row, and just get to have a lot of fun in the KW world. It's a great place to come play this game. You know, before we start and you choose to actively engage in this time that we have together, I want to share that Kara, Diana, and I believe that the MAPS Language of Sales can have a direct and immediate impact on your future, your income, and in every area of your life. Our goal for this short workshop today is for you to walk away from here with something you can use immediately, right away, today, on the next call that you make, and that you see the value in committing to elevating your language skills by enrolling in this program. So think about it. We're on the phone with a group of agents, team leaders, coaches, people from all walks of the real estate world, right? And we're talking about a program Diana started in 2006 when she arrived at KW International, which automatically tells us that we're here to improve our skills. So our time today will be very interactive. As part of the webinar, you have access to the question box. In the control panel, it's part of the webinar. We're going to ask questions. We're going to ask you to focus. We're going to ask you to think. We're going to ask you to write. We're going to ask you to share through the question box. And we especially want you to be open to growing through this experience today. So we're going to ask you to get uncomfortable, because we all know as much as we dislike being uncomfortable, that's where all the growth happens. So just by being here, you're investing in yourself in a program with MAPS that offer, this program that MAPS offers, and frankly, we're excited to work with you in an area that is truly, if you can't tell, a passion of ours. So just take a moment and imagine what will happen to your business when you have the ability to understand, connect with, and influence your prospects and clients in ways that you're not even aware of right now. In fact, let's test out the question box, okay? just based on what I shared right now, what are you thinking? What's popping in your head just from what I've shared already about using the language of sales or becoming more effective in communication? We'd like you to just share in the box, and then we'll share some of people's responses. Here, somebody already said, what's more important, the words I use or my demeanor, my presence, or how I show up? And I love that because, it's interesting. Language of sales isn't just about here's a better script. It's not just here's a better script or here's a better word to use. It has a lot to do with how you connect and the way that you interact with people in a way that causes them to act and to want to move forward with you and do something when their natural instinct might be to slow down or back off. So that's a great question because we know that communication is only a small percentage of the actual words. And it's more important how you use those words and how you connect. So here, I'm going to read a couple more. It says, being purposeful in my conversations with customers that will make our lives so much easier. Someone said, interested in learning how to better influence the clients and prospects. Just learning the language of, neuro-linguistic programming or that language, those language patterns. Let's see, someone just said, it's just how you show up. I want to know what questions to listen for and how to react. I love that. It says, I'm looking forward to learning more about communicating effectively with everyone in my world, personally and professionally. And I can share, in fact, Karen, you know this, that one of the best things when you first learn language of sales is that you start using it all the time on everyone everywhere. And sometimes you get responses from people that used to take a lot more work. And I'm talking about in your personal life, that all of a sudden your spouse responds really, gleefully to something that they used to resist. And then you realize it really is because of your use of language of sales. You know what I mean, Kara?
I love that. Oh my gosh, isn't that exciting? And we've got so many coming in, and individually why you're all here. So let's take a look before we really get rolling. Write this down right now. MAPS, LOS, stands for languageofsales.com. It's where you can go to register for the program. Now, in preparing for today, Ron and I, we got together and we shared our thoughts on how the average agent thinks. And here's some things we came up with. They're probably doing things the hard way. They think that, they have to be a hard closer, like a tough guy, maybe pushy. They think they have to be super salesy. And maybe they think that things can't come easily. That's just not how things are supposed to be. Well, here's the great news. When you say the right thing in the right way at the right time, life will be easier and people will easily move forward with making great decisions.
Right. So I'm going to probably say this more than once. We want you to play this game full out for the rest of our call. Pretend that this call for the next 45 minutes to an hour is going to be a pivotal moment in your career, that you're going to get something from this call that changes the way that you interact with people for the rest of your life. That's how we want you to show up for what we're about to talk about. Eliminate the distractions, dial in your thinking, and of course, let's have fun. And, I just wanted to share, for me, what language of sales meant to me when I first took it. In fact, when Diana asked me if I would teach this class, I had basically stopped doing a lot of coaching because I was focused on my team and being an OP. And I said, the coaching was just one more thing that I didn't feel like I was doing well because I was doing so much. And she asked me to teach language of sales, and I said, yes, immediately. And it was because when I first was introduced to it, it was a 6-month class, and I took it 3 times because of the difference that it made in my business, because I saw my communications and my sales going up so fast that I just couldn't wait. And I said that to Diana. I told her, I was like, Diana, I took it for 18 months. And she just started laughing. And because she was in the same program I was in, she goes, I took it for 24 months. And I thought that's what happens when top salespeople are exposed to it. things skyrocket and they just see the advantage. So I want you to focus on it in that way. And today we're going to focus on how to connect instantly with everyone that you meet.
I love that story. I can never hear that story enough, Ron. So let's start today by talking about the definition of rapport. Rapport is when two people have a good, synchronized, trusting, safe, and connected relationship in which they're able to understand each other's needs, ideas, and feelings. In other words, when you're in good rapport with a client, they trust you and do what you ask. They don't hesitate to share information, and they actually trust you as a person. I mean, and if you were just at family reunion, Gary talked about how important it was to build your community. I think he actually said build your community and then build a moat around it. Rapport helps you build your community. The goal of rapport is to cause clients to feel comfortable with you and your recommendations. It's to take your career to the next level through relating to others easily. It also helps you sell more homes in less time with less resistance. And it causes others to act and share because they relate to and trust you. The ultimate goal is to live a better life because communication is just easier. And for the rest of the call, we're going to be sharing a strategy allowing you to become more effective in your ability to connect with strangers and, of course, influence your prospects, your clients, your staff, your family, your spouse, your kids, anyone you encounter.
So naturally, the fact that you decided to join this session illustrates your belief that possessing an ability to influence will allow you to take your career to the next level. Have you ever noticed that some people just naturally have others listen to them at a higher level than others? The people who never met a stranger, they just seem to be instant best friends with everyone that they meet. Does it seem like they're blessed with some secret power? It's like they're a Jedi and they have the Force. I'm the salesperson you're looking for, right? Well, here's what we believe. It's not magic. It's not a superpower. Most likely, it's a trained communication technique. They know how to communicate with people in a way that causes them to feel good about making decisions and be right about taking action immediately. So let's do a quick exercise. On a blank sheet of paper, write down two things. First, write down how many strangers you bump into on a weekly basis. Think about it. At the mall, in your building, in your neighborhood, at the gas station, at restaurants, your kids' school, your kids' activities, everywhere you go. How many different people each week that you currently don't know do you think you bump into? Just share that number in the box with us. Just want to make sure. Yeah, someone said 400 in a week. That's probably not unusual. 25, 50, 20. Depends if you lock yourself in your office or you get out there, right? So we have numbers anywhere from 5 to, someone says unlimited. Okay, I was going to say to 500. Right, okay, so you get it. All right, now take that number that you wrote down, multiply it times 50. Because, of course, you're all taking a minimum of 2 weeks vacation a year. So let's say we're going to multiply that number times 50 weeks. So if you wrote down you only meet one person a week, that would be 50. If you wrote people a week, it'd be 100, right? If you wrote down 3 people a week, 3 times 50 would be 150. So just multiply that number times 50 weeks. All right, now type that number in the box for us real quick. All right, so we have numbers like 20,000, 350, 25,000, 2,500. A lot of people said 2,500. That's funny. You're all thinking the same way. 50,000, 1,000, right? So you get it, right? Think of this like baseball like a game of baseball or the baseball world, right? Spring training is in full session, and you're looking to plan for your season. So this is the number of at-bats, or times you step up to the plate. In other words, these are the number of people that you're bumping into where something great can happen. In real estate, it's the number of opportunities you have to connect with someone that you didn't know.
I love that word, the opportunities. And and Ron and I get, and we understand that you're just learning and that you're not that great at purposefully playing the language of sales rapport building game yet. So let's just say this for easy math. Let's say you have 3 opportunities a week or 150 total opportunities for the year, right? And let's say that currently you're only connecting with 10% of those people on a weekly basis or an annual basis. And that would equal 15 people on an annual basis who could be added to your database. These are people who may buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate with you someday. And let's presume that you convert your database at 10%. Let's do the math together. Take 10% of the number you wrote down and then round it up. So for instance, 150 opportunities, or 3 a week, converted at your current language level becomes 1.5 transactions. And since it's kind of hard to do a half transaction, let's round that up to 2 transactions. Now multiply that 2 transactions by your average commission and type that number in the box. Let's see what kind of numbers you get. So we're getting some really big numbers. Lots of numbers with at least 3 zeros after them. I love that. You know, 10,000, 45,000, 18,000, 40,000, lots and lots. Yeah, Ron?
Right. So, just so for the example, if it was 2 transactions, right, it would be 5,000 times 2 times 5,000 average commission. That would give you $10,000. So let's just do one more quick scenario. Let's take that same 3 per week, or 150 opportunities a year, and now imagine you have these new language skills. You can convert, in addition, you now convert all the additions to your database at a 50% return. That would be 75 people added to your database. Now let's do the math again. If you took 3 per week, that's 150 per year, times half added to the database, which would be 75, times a 10% return on your database, again, that would be 7.5, so we're going to round it up to 8, times your average $5,000 commission, all of a sudden that number jumps to $40,000. So it went from 10,000 to 40,000 because you had the skill to make the difference. So the difference between your netting on your current language skills and the language skills you're going to develop in the language of sales is what experts call your loss of potential income. Now you know why we want you to stay so focused on this call.
For sure. So let's state one more thing, Ron. I think that's really important and needs to be made clear. Using elevated language skills is not manipulation. The definition of manipulation is exerting shrewd or devious influence, especially for one's own advantage. That's easy for me to say, right? We're not using it for our advantage. We're not using it for anything. We're not using that power for the dark side. You must become more effective in your language to make an impact. It's going to make an impact on your listener, and you're going to empower them to take action with you. And when you enroll in the language of sales, we'll be coaching you through how to better connect with people in a way that causes them to act instead of procrastinate, and causes them to choose you, because you are a force for good and you want to help them get what they want, not what you want. Can we just get a few yeses typed in the question box so that I know you're with us on this? Fantastic. Great. Then let's move forward. Let's proceed.
Great. Kara, I know we spent a lot of time just laying the groundwork, and it's because we're so passionate about it. So let's really dig in. Let's learn one quick method of the instant rapport building from the language of sales. So this is something we teach in the language of sales. It's instant rapport building. So consider that even in this day of texting and emailing, you can still add a lot to your bottom line, making connections with the people that you meet, just living your normal life, and at group activities like your kids' sports or doing your 7th level open houses, wherever you are, you have a chance to basically use these skills. So the method we're going to teach you works extremely well. And like most things in life, the more you use it, the better your results will be. And one other thing, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable in first learning this. I know we said that before. There might be a reason we said it more than once. This requires you to put aside your normal way of being, your automatic, natural communication style that you've used your entire life. It may feel unnatural at first, so you'll have to be okay with being a little humbled, just a little humbled by doing something different from what you've always done. Think of it this way. The class is called the MAPS Language of Sales. Part of the course is learning new language and new language patterns and a new way to use them when you communicate. Think about the last time you learned a new language. I don't know about you, but it took me a lot of repetition, practice, and focus to learn to become good at it. I was willing to pay the price because for me, where I am right now is rarely where I'm satisfied being.
So true. I know that about you. So here we go. You meet someone and you want to initiate a real estate conversation. Your goal is to connect with the person you meet in a way that they like, remember, and feel connected with you. If they're not ready to buy or sell at this very moment, well, you want them to give you their contact information and permission to keep in touch. So let's start by telling you the what, and then we'll talk about the how. So we're going to build rapport by doing 3 things. We're going to pay close attention to their model of the world. We're going to respect and connect with them based on their model of the world. And then we're going to follow until rapport is built and then lead based on that strong connection. So again, that's the what. When you meet someone, instead of insisting on them liking you for who you are, you're going to be like them. People relate to people who are like them. People relate to people who like them. They like people like them. They trust people like them. And they remember and enjoy the interaction with people like them. So guess what you're going to do? Right. You're going to be like them. Think about it. Have you ever met someone whose dialect was intensely different from yours? Maybe they dressed different, and maybe they spoke faster or slower or just different from you. Did you feel connected to them? Go ahead and type your answer in the box. No, sometimes no. Right, you guys get it. So think about it for a second. People who speak fast think people who speak slow are what? Right, that they're slow, they're unintelligent, they don't know anything. And if we flipped it, people who naturally have a slower cadence think people who speak really fast are what? Sneaky, untrustworthy, and they judge them immediately for speaking fast. They think, oh, they're trying to put something over on me, right? Well, your verbal and nonverbal communication are just like that too. People who are dressed to chill make instant judgments about people who are dressed to kill. Young people judge old people, and old people, well, they judge, well, maybe everyone. I don't know. So how would you like it if when you first met someone new, Instead of reacting like a stranger, they actually felt right away that you were safe or that you were a friend or someone that they were intensely interested in getting to know. What if they loved and even repeated the conversation they had with you? Think about this. What if the line you were standing in moved and they followed you into the parking lot and you were still having a great conversation and they were happy to have the communication continue? That is the goal of language of sales. Whether it's on the phone or in person, we want to connect with people and have them love the conversation that we've shared.
So this is it. First, it's paying attention to their model of the world. You bump into someone, you make eye contact, you smile, you make a comment about something you observe. They have a child or two, a cart full of groceries, healthy food, party food, or hardly any groceries at all. Maybe they look as though they just came from the gym, the office, a soccer game. You find something you can comment on, and you make a very neutral, safe comment. And remember to breathe. We know we've always been programmed not to even talk to strangers, even though that relationship can be worth lots of money. So stay with me here. So when they respond, you intensely pay attention to the way they speak, their tone, their rate of speech, their body language, and especially their face. I know this is a lot and it's new. So remember, new language is not easy to learn, and you already understand that once you learn it, it's yours forever. So they respond to your comment. You're going to listen intently, like they're the most important person on the planet. You make your observations and you commit to respect and connect with them based on their model of the world. Now you're going to pay attention to any key words they may have used more than once when they responded. In MAPS language of sales, we call this keyword backtracking. And you'll have to take the class to learn more about that. But just be clear, this is the light version of that conversation. It's a taste of language of sales. So we'll share what we're talking about, an example in a moment, so you can get an idea of how that works. It's imperative that you first pay close attention to their model of the world. When they responded, were their eyes twinkling as if they were speaking of the greatest joy of their life? Were they frowning as if they were in pain just thinking of what you discussed? Did they look off into space and give nonverbal cues to what feelings your comment elicited in them? Did they look into the card at something in particular or make a certain face? You've observed their behavior. Now you're going to follow their lead. You take on as much of their body language as possible. Are they slouching, leaning? Do they have a foot up on the lower part of the cart? Are they leaning in, leaning back? Are their arms crossed? Remember, you've observed their way of being. Now you're going to follow as much of that way as possible. You're going to then pick out something from your observation, something from the verbal and the nonverbal cues, something from their bodily response, and put it all together in a response. And you're going to stay there with them in that mode as they are, as long as you have to, until you feel connected to them. You'll know you're connected because you will then test the connection. When you're in rapport, you follow first and then you lead. Great leaders teach us that great leaders are great followers first. You actually learn about others and how they are being and join them where they are in the world. And when you're in rapport, they will give you permission to take over and to lead.
So wait until you see this work in your life. In fact, picture how you probably already do this. When you have a little child and they're emotional about something, you lower down to where they are, you put on a sad face, you start with their tone, which is actually you getting in rapport with them. Then you start talking in a happy manner and you bring them out of it. It's truly that easy. So right now, you may have had one of two reactions to what we just shared. Either your inner voice said, no way, never, they're going to know, they're going to catch me. I can't do it. Well, why should I do it? Or you might be thinking, I'm smooth and people like me when I'm just being me. I'm way too cool for this stuff. Or maybe your reaction was, well, I can give it a go. I mean, the world's greatest communicators use this method. Ron Wexler's coached thousands of successful agents and has sold thousands of homes. Diana Kokoska is one of the greatest communicators ever, and they're the ones who helped put this all together. Huh.
So did that just make you uncomfortable? Great. That means you're getting it. As soon as you try it, you'll see how powerful it is, and you'll have to practice it over and over with everyone to even start to internalize it. So let's say that you're in that grocery line and the person is dressed in sweats. They have a cart full of vegetables. They seem harried, exhausted, and frustrated with three little kids hanging off of them who are totally out of control. You turn to them, you look them in the eyes, you take on a little of their body language and posture, and you say, wow, I'm impressed. You truly have your hands full. And now you're going to intensely pay attention to their body, their tone, and their response. They say, ugh, you have no idea. It's 2:00 and we have been going since 8 a.m. I haven't had a chance to breathe. You know, my kids are amazing, and today they've been a handful. They're running around, acting crazy. They're having fun. They really enjoy each other's company. I just want to get some good food into them, and I just can't wait to go home and let them play in their own space. So often when it's someone with kids who may not have interacted with other adults for hours, right, we know they may have a long-winded response. Don't interrupt them. Just look them in the eyes and start to mirror and match everything about them that you can. Pay attention to the way they either light up or fade out when talking about whatever they've decided to respond with. Now it's your turn, right? You observed, now it's your turn. You're going to use the keyword backtracking. You're going to use their words so you sound like them. And you might say something, and again, you're going to mirror and match their behavior, their tonality, everything. You might say something like, watching you all, I was thinking those kids are amazing. They're high energy, but they're being nice to each other. They really seem to enjoy each other's company. Then stop talking. They might respond with, yes, it's wild keeping up with them. And then you respond with, you know, I sell a lot of real estate in this area, and sometimes when we're out looking, I'll have a client with a crew like yours, and we're often looking for lots of space and big yards, and honestly, the kids are rarely that nice to each other. And I've noticed that sometimes kids wear the parents out. And almost always, they're going to respond with something like, you sell real estate? Man, I wish we could buy a bigger house. Or, and maybe we're 3 years away from probably being able to afford one, right? This is when you'll see that you're in rapport. They breathe a sigh, lean in, share, connect, and maybe ask you a question. Then you just go to what we always call the 5 basic questions that every real estate agent should know, right? And this is where you're going to go from following to leading. So you might answer with, yes, a lot of people in this market are waiting, and yet right now is truly an incredible time to buy. Where do you live now? How long have you lived there? How did you choose that location? If you were to move in 3 years, where would you go next? If they didn't already tell you, then ask, when would that be? How are you keeping up with the changes in the market? So you want to ask questions and stay with them, again, as they are. Then you can test the rapport by actually breaking it. Talk a little faster or a little slower. Shift your posture, cross your legs. Do something that causes them to either come with you or divert from that connection that you just made.
Of course, the goal is to connect and to get them to do something right now, or to turn them into a database member who will stay connected with you until they're ready to go and make a move. The last question is what makes the part of the conversation possible. And that was, how are you keeping up with the changes in the market? You can offer a monthly newsletter, a postcard, a market snapshot, or whatever automated system you have that'll work. Get their home address so that you can utilize all the great tools that will be coming out via command that Gary and Josh just talked about at Family Reunion. The bottom line is, it hardly matters what you say. It actually matters more that you connect and create rapport. And then when people hear someone like them, all of their defenses go away and they let you take the lead. So do you see how applying this technique can significantly increase your ability to connect with people at a deeper level? If you're on track, go ahead and use the box and say, I get it. And if you don't, well, let us know that too. Smart group on the phone today, Ron. Smart group. They all get it. I'm tracking. Yep. Got it. Love it. All right. So we know that Ron and I, we know we did this quickly. And the MAPS language of sales calls are usually a full hour, and we dig deep on a weekly basis. And then you're going to do homework to reinforce the method between calls. But think about this. We just gave you one small technique, and usually on most calls, we end up giving you 2 techniques that you can use that week. MAPS language of sales is a method of influencing brain behavior through the use of language. The utilization of language patterns in our teachings through language of sales is designed to move the listener forward and help them reach their goals and objectives. Remember, it's all about their goals, not yours. Because we all know what Zig Ziglar said, right? Help enough people get what they want, and you're going to get what you want. So let's look at some facts that become useful in communication. You must become more effective in your use of language, which will cause your listener to choose to work with you, hire you, join your team. You know, you get the point. You can continue to just connect with a limited number of people who communicate exactly like you, or you can choose today to master your language skills, which will allow you to increase your closed transactions, market share, and the way we think about it, get to more yeses.
Right. We are all about more yeses. So, many of the top performers in our company and their teams, people like the Loken Group have taken language of sales over and over and over. And just like it did for Diana, Kara, and myself, it raised our income. And I truly believe, more importantly, it lowered the number of contacts needed to get a yes. So the question is, would you like to learn more techniques like this that will make a massive difference in your life? I'm really wondering, what is the price you're paying for your current skill set? Earlier we figured out the potential lost business opportunity that not elevating your language skills through the language of sales cost you, right? That is the cost of your current skills or lack of language skills. The best communicators know that investing your time and resources in mastering your language skills will give you an enormous payoff. I promise you that woman from the grocery store will remember you, work with you, feel comfortable with you, and come back to you when they're ready if you started the relationship, making her the most important person in the world when she was all harried standing in line at the grocery store with her kids. Learning to communicate that way and connect with people in that way is what we're all about. So take a moment to get clear on the calls you didn't make last year because you weren't sure of what to say. Right? How many of you were nailing your lead gen all the time? How many of you had a listing you failed to get? Or maybe you have a house that could sell right now in your inventory that needs to be reduced, and you're avoiding the price reduction conversation because you don't know exactly what to say or how to say it. Or you've been working with a buyer for a while and you haven't figured out how to get them to take action. Instinctively, you're already beginning to understand the need to take advantage of the opportunity to increase your sales. through the mastery of language. There is a price you'll pay to participate, obviously. It's actually $3.99 for 12 weeks of intense training. Intuitively, you know that you're already paying a lot more than that. Think about it. You might be paying that $30,000 difference between those numbers we just figured out for the listings you didn't take and the closings you didn't have. So what questions do you have? Let's just take a few minutes before we go any further. What questions do you have about language of sales, or really just about the technique we just shared with you? So someone asked, do we focus on building rapport with clients, and do we provide scripts? You're going to use scripts that you already have mostly, and scripts that you have access to, and you're going to learn how to use those scripts in a more powerful way. Remember, it's not necessarily what words you have, it's how you use the ones you've got. And then some of the techniques that we're going to share with you are about language patterns, and it's responding to how they speak. Someone just said this is perfect for door knocking. It's literally perfect for all communication, especially in person and on the phone.
Hey, Ron, that one keeps coming up about people asking about, learning to write your own scripts. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And I would say that, we've got scripts written by Diana Kokoska, who's a master of scripts. However, what's amazing about Diana's scripts is they all use these techniques. So if there's something that maybe translates different to your market or something like that, you will learn the techniques that were used to write those scripts. And yes, then you could tweak them or write your own. However, we're always going to encourage you to use what we have, and let's just get you really powerfully using them correct, with the right inflections, with the right formatting, so that it becomes natural to you over time. So what other questions do we have? Let's see. Ron, here's a good one. Can someone who's very uncomfortable with talking to people in general still benefit from this class?
I love that. It's more so because one of the reasons that you're uncomfortable speaking with people is because the way you're doing it right now is not effective. And when you lack confidence, and when there's something that's painful that doesn't give you the results you want, who the heck wants to do that? Once you get really comfortable and start getting great results, Kara, I was just going to share, when I first learned this, I got hardcore about just wanting to talk to as many people as it took to get the numbers that I wanted to have. And I just want to share, one year I talked to 12,000 people. During that year is when I took language of sales. I had 12,000, basically almost all cold calls. Maybe 30% were expireds and FSBOs. All the rest was just cold calling, what we'll call circle prospecting now, right? And the year that I talked to 12,000 people, I closed 120 deals. The next year, and I took language of sales during this period. The next year, I talked to 4,500 people, and I closed 132. What do you think the difference was between those 2 years?
Sounds like you were working on your language skills, Ron.
That's right. That's totally what it was. I got really good at connecting with people, at listening to them, at building instant rapport, at using words in a way that caused them to act and just make a move, to do something, to move forward. So that's really what we want for all of you. Someone asked if with a different technique every week, is there homework like role play, etc.? And the answer is all of the above. The way the program is set up, it's basically 12 one-hour sessions. Each session, you're going to, like Kara shared, you're going to have 1 to 2 techniques like the instant rapport one we just did. And then you're going to work on those things all week long. You're going to practice them. You're going to write out sentences. You're going to practice them on everybody you bump into. If you're really smart, you're going to lead generate and use them. And of course, you're going to role play. We encourage everyone to get role play partners We treat you like grown-ups. No one's going to hold your hand and force you to get a role play partner, and no one's going to be checking if you do or don't. So it's going to be up to you. Your behavior is going to dictate your success, obviously. It'll be up to you what you do or don't do with it. But we're going to give you all the tools you need to be highly successful using it.
Absolutely. I love that. Think of this as an example. If you were learning to speak a new language, I plan on taking another trip to Italy, and I want to learn to speak Italian. Would it be enough for me just to sit on a 1-hour webinar every week and just listen to how I should be speaking Italian? Absolutely not. It would be important for me to learn to be writing it, and learn to speak it, and learn to speak it with maybe other people that are at the same level as you or a higher level, working together to improve your skills. If you want to learn a new language, you've got to practice it. So there is homework. And someone asked, are we going to is one of the things on how to dig deeper? Of course it is. And sometimes digging deeper is just asking the right questions. So I love that. And is it interactive? Definitely. It is a webinar format, and we usually have much more interaction than we have today, where we're asking you to participate. Ron, any other great questions coming in?
So will this class be emailed to us or recorded for us to go back and review? As a matter of fact, usually within 24 hours, every time, in fact, this webinar will be the same. Every time we do one, you're going to get a email that says, here's the link back to today's webinar. And you'll be able, the people who really kick butt at this literally do the whole class a second time. They do it on Saturday morning, or they do it some night after the kids go to bed. They just go back through the whole thing with their notes, because we all know the second and third time you hear something, your retention is much higher. So you will absolutely have, and you will have access to it, I believe, all the way like 90 days after the program ends. You'll still have access to each week's class. So if you go out of town for a week, you'll have time when you get back to make up the class you missed, and you'll get back on track. So, we all know life happens in between all of our plans, and there's times when you just might get a little bit off track. You will be able to get back on track very easily and have access to all 12 weeks when we're done.
Awesome. Someone asked, Ron, they're not with Keller Williams. Can they still participate? Absolutely. We don't discriminate against other brokerages. Like any of our training within KW, it's open to everybody. I mean, Ron, can you imagine how cool it would be if every agent actually spoke the language of sales? How much easier our life would be, how much more professional our profession would be. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Right. I mean, that's always been Gary Keller's theory, right? That's what he's always taught us, that we're not Keller Williams agents first. We're real estate agents first, and we're all in it together. And so I can't think of anything I've ever done that we didn't invite everybody to come join us. And this is the same way. You're going to be, welcomed in. I mean, every so often you might hear little Keller Williams speak, and it's just because a lot of us think that way. However, you'll feel at home. You'll feel comfortable. Probably 10 or 15% of the people in the class won't even be part of Keller Williams. So it's not a problem at all. You're more than welcome. And if you have questions, you just text us or, email us. And actually, we didn't mention, but we have an incredible Facebook group that will be the people in the class.
Holly, flip the slide to the next slide. There we go. And go ahead, Ron.
That's it. So we have a really strong Facebook group that during that 12 weeks, people are actually posting some of their homework, sharing what they're doing, asking questions. Everyone starts coaching everyone else. We get to see how bad we are at some of it until we get good at it, and we get to make fun of each other now. We really get to practice, and practice is how you move towards getting good. I guess
it's
maybe
only
it
you
is.
and I that get to make fun of each other, right? Yeah, exactly.
I guess. Well, so Kara and I will be, going on to it like once a week and checking on, people posting their work. But during the week, it's a good place for you to find other practice partners. And honestly, a couple times during the 12 weeks, we're going to give you a chance to just post where you are, because there will be people there from probably all 50 states and even some other countries. So it'll give you a great chance if you're looking to build your referral network. So I think that Facebook page is super powerful. I look back on the old ones from the last year or two of teaching this class, and I still see people looking for referral partners or sharing their successes. So it can be a real active group and a lot of fun.
You know what? One of the most fun things to me, Ron, is I had someone reach out who was in our last 2 sessions to say they can't wait to take it again. And because of she said, because of the skills she gained in language of sales, her business was up by 24% last year.
Wow.
So that's a great testimonial, just by her increasing her techniques and things like that. So, I mean, $3.99 is really a small price to pay when you're looking at a business going up by 21%.
Right. And it's like anything else. You're going to get out of it what you put into it. So no one's making any guarantees. I can guarantee you if you play full out and you really do what you're supposed to do and you just go ahead and be uncomfortable and know that you're going to make mistakes and screw it all up, that the only way you know if you're moving forward is by doing it wrong and then doing it right. And just know that you're going to not be perfect. If you're worried about being an A+ student the whole time, then you're probably going to have a hard time. And what I always say with the agents I coach is be an A+ student at learning and working towards getting better. Don't worry about getting an A+ on your final grade. You just want to get better at what you're doing and become powerful in your conversations. That's the goal. So any other questions real quick, and then we're going to release you and let you get on with your day. Any other questions?
I've been answering a lot of the same ones directly, Ron, so it doesn't look like there's anything else coming in. So let's invite them to join us.
Yes, come play with us. Go to mapslos.com, sign up, come play. We're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to love this course, and you're going to get a lot out of it. And we appreciate you all taking this time out of your day to come listen and go back and listen to this. And if you want to share it with other people after you get it, that's perfectly fine. We have no problem. You're going to get an email. If you want to forward that email to other people or post it on your Facebook or whatever, feel free to share it with other agents. Just this lesson alone, whether they join us or not, can make a big difference. And that's really the whole game plan that we have. So thank you, guys. We appreciate you.
Have a great one. Bye, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, go get them.